Welcome to my weekly review. Today is Saturday, April 12th. You're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq. You can see on Friday, the Nasdaq was up 337 points or 2.0, 2% roughly. And then it closed at 16,724 with 15% above the average volume. We're seeing a lot of volume coming in the last 5, 6 sessions. Certainly since April 3rd, we've had increasing volume here. On Monday, we had what I would consider a washout low of 14,784. I'd mentioned it as a low, and I got a lot of pushback from it, but that is a low, and we've seen a a higher low every day last week. You could see on the Monday, the low was 14,784, then 15,053, the 15,270. Thursday was 15,894. Then Friday, which I thought was going to be an inside day, but nope, the low was 16,228, and it took out the high from Thursday. So the high on Friday was 16,753. And on Thursday it was 16,712. So higher highs and higher lows. That's the definition of an uptrend, folks. You got to keep an open mind. I know people will point to the death cross where the 50 is now crossed below the 200, but that can change if this thing powers higher. What I'm looking for next is for the Nasdaq to trade above the high from Wednesday of 17,202. That would be the next level. And then, of course, get through the 21 and then, rally up towards these other slower moving averages, the 200 and the 50. Why I'm optimistic. First of all, the reason why is, I mentioned the big volume washout move, the reversal on Monday. And to me, that's a sign that, the index it's washed out and it's trading, it's reversed higher. And I think we're going to see something like we saw in 2019. If you will indulge me here, I will go back to 2018 where the Nasdaq sold off. We saw the three waves down, which I'm going to get to in a minute here, but you can see wave one, a little bear wedge pattern, wave two, little bear wedge pattern, wave three, and you can see the big, massive volume. This is capitulation or washout volume, whatever you want to call it. Massive volume. Then we reversed higher, and we got the same players involved here now with U.S., China, and Powell still steering the wheel for the FOMC. And I think we're going to have a similar outcome. I want to point out the QQQs because I think you have to have the Mag 7 participate in a rally higher. And you can see the massive volume in the QQQs. This is still 2019, folks. I'll switch back. But you can see the massive volume here as people just, want out. That's why they call it a correction, a shakeout, because people get shaken out. The sentiment is really bad. People want nothing to do with stocks. They hate stocks. They're losing money. I can't do this. I want to give up. Everybody's super negative. And what happens is there's no more sellers left. And the institutions come in and start buying, and you have yourself a rally. Obviously, at this time in 2019, there was, you know, we were trying to raise rates at the time, and then Powell acquiesced, and so we had that going on, similar to what we have now. But I'm going to switch back to 2025. Just look at the price action, look at the volume in the QQQs. Looks to me like this massive volume here, washout, and then reversal on Monday. That was a key day. And then on Wednesday, this looks like a follow-through day to me. That's what a follow-through day should look like, right? Up 12% with massive volume. That's what a follow-through day should look like. And anyway, we had confirmation. I'm going back to the NASDAQ now. So if you consider this, a follow-through day, and it was only day three, and then you have your confirmation day on Friday. The problem is it's below the high of 17,202 from Wednesday. So that's why I say key is now to get back up to the 17,202 because you can see it was rejected here at the 21. So it needs to rally above the 21, needs to rally above the 17,202. And, more will be revealed next week. It could certainly, wash out and take out that old low, but I don't think so. And I'm going to stick with my theory that, this is the first wave down, and then we had a rally up, then this is your second leg, and then this is your third. Because we saw a lot of stocks in this leg get taken out. I've been through this before. The Tesla, the MicroStrategy, a lot of stocks that were leading stocks got, sold aggressively during this leg down. And so right now you're saying, what are the leading stocks to lead us back up? Well, I just went through, I think the QQQ and the Mag 7 are going to be, leading with the stock market. The Nasdaq's not going up without their help. I'm not saying these are going to be five baggers or anything, but they're all part of the SPY. I mean, if you own, the SPY, then you own Amazon and Meta and Microsoft and Apple. And so you just can't get away from it. And this is something similar here was rejected. This is the SPY rejected at the 21, but the Friday high was higher than the Thursday high. So you got higher lows and now you're making higher highs. Got to get above this high here from Wednesday, which was 548. So it's got some work to do, but not impossible. And that's what I anticipate going forward. You see here, like this, if you will, a double bottom type of pattern. So I'm going to show you a bunch of stocks that I like with this type of pattern. It could certainly fall apart. A lot of people are saying, really negative and think it's going to fall apart, but I'm in the other camp. I think we're going to rally like 2019. Anyway, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. I mentioned the Mag 7. Apple obviously, made a bottom here on Monday, and I don't want to get into political rhetoric or news, but there could be something coming this week that, that a softening of this stance. But anyway, a lot of folks own Apple. It had this, follow through type of day move on Wednesday where it was up 15%. I mean, that's like the opposite of the January 27th whack day where stocks got whacked like NVDA here on January 27th was down, what was it, 18% or something? Yeah, when you see a company like that, 17% on January 27th. But anyway, this looks like a washout bottom to me. The volume coming in as it starts to pick up on the right side. Tesla, this one is below the 200, like the rest of them. They're all below the 200, so it's hard to get really excited about stocks below their 200. So it's got work to do. It's got to rally through. I know I didn't point out the death cross on NVIDIA, and now we have one on Tesla, but get over it, folks. Anyway, Microsoft, I think these are they were overloved, they were overowned, and now they're overhated, and there's just no more stock to sell. They're like washed out. Yeah. And so they have to go the other way. Some buyers come in, and I think they're going the other way. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I know they're below the moving averages, but and Google could be the worst offender here in the Mag 7. Yeah, this looks like a washout to me. So am I buying calls, a couple weeks, maybe at the 170 here for Google? Maybe. I think that might be a decent idea. What other ones do we have that I missed out? Oh, Amazon. Another one that I like, they have this, double bottom base type pattern here where it had this sell off, rallied up, then had this washout. And I like the double bottom bases because it's telling you that, this first wave of sellers, we had some buyers come in, and the second wave is just saying, I'm out. I don't want this stock. I don't want anything to do with this stock. And there's no more stock left to sell. And then buyers come in and push the thing higher. So that's why I like these double bottom bases. I think I covered all of the Mag 7 stocks. Maybe I didn't cover Facebook. But yeah, it was, rejected at the 200, pulled back. It was even down on Friday, but this one move here on Wednesday where, you can't ignore a move like this, just like you can't ignore the January 27th on those AI stocks. This is a 15% move on Wednesday. Yeah, it pulled back on Thursday and Friday, but rejection at the 200, it could certainly rally back through that level. And once again, it's got this double bottom type pattern. I'm going to show you some of the stocks that I like that are displaying the same type of pattern. So don't give up on Meta just because it was, down on Friday when the market was up a lot. All right, that's it for the Mag 7. I gave you my theory. I'm sticking to it. I think, we have V-shaped rally, and it's the Mag 7 are going to participate. But we need leading stocks, right? So what's leading now? I've got to go to the gold stocks. With gold trading at 3,250 per ounce for spot gold, when if a software name broke out like this, would be all over it. Like if this was App 11, but it's gold, so people, they gold. I don't know. It's a commodity, so it doesn't. I don't know. People just have, I don't know, a bias against gold. They don't want to buy gold. A lot of people. Anyway, it had this double bottom pattern, which I just showed you a ton of. So this one's leading higher. This is AU, Anglo Gold Ashanti, up, 28% last week. That'll help your portfolio. You can see the earnings line heading due north, and you can see the big volume. So I don't know. I know a lot of folks are saying these are stretched. They're way above their moving averages. Yeah, they got to pull back, but they can become more stretched. This one is 15% above its 10, which, yeah, okay, it's stretched. They're all stretched here. This is Harmony Gold Mining. This thing's up, already more than 100% in 2025. And how does this stock, become a 10 bagger? Well, it starts by being, a two bagger. And this one's a two bagger already in 2025, 16.6% above its 10. So does it need to pull back? Yeah. But I'm not saying this is over. I thought these things were going to get hammered when they sold off the prior week, but last week they rallied back. So, that's the price, price pays. So, you can't ignore this stuff. They're all making new highs here. With gold at, like I said, 32.50. This is Agnico Eagle Mines. This is another one. It's up 18%. I wanted to get Harmony, the weekly. This is a weekly review. Yeah, up 32%. That'll help out your portfolio. WPM, these are the Canadian mining stocks, and they're just ripping higher. This is WPM, up 16% last week. ORLA, ORLA, this one is up, 30%. Hello. I know it's a $10 stock. I don't care. This thing's ripping higher with volume. Yeah, I mean, if you want the leading stocks, these are the leading stocks right now. I mean, I can't help it. It's not software, it's not hardware, it's not semiconductors, it's nothing sexy. It's gold, but this is what's working. All right. I guess I got to go through a couple more here. I'm going to go through this is the last of the Canadian. This is Ego, Eldorado, and you can see it just kind of broke out from a cup with handle pattern. And it's up 20% last week, folks. So you can't ignore that type of a move. DRD, so this is a South African name. This one was only up 20% last week, a laggard for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's extended. I get it. It's 9.3% above the five, but that's what's working. I got to go to Franco Nevada, another Canadian. Yeah, this one was up big on Friday, another 6% move. Yeah, 15% last week. Anyway, I think you get the idea. This is like shooting fish in a barrel. The gold stocks are working. They're not going to work forever. At some point, they're going to be a great short. The GLD, my friend here says, you got to short this, but I think it's too soon. I know it's stretched, but the stocks can go a lot higher than you think they will. And this is, yeah, an ETF that's just, yeah, it's stretched. I get it. But, you don't want to be too soon because you get your face ripped off. We saw what happened on Wednesday when you got a little too cute and you were shorting the Mag 7 or whatever, and you got your face ripped off. So that's why it's difficult to short. Anyway, I'm going to get off the gold kick. I'm going to go to a couple of anomalies. These are retail names that are making new highs. And so this alerts me, like my spidey senses tingle when I see this. This is Casey's General Store. Why is a retail stock making new highs, in this type of environment? Well, I don't know. I don't really care. I'm just telling you, it was up $41 last week or 10% and making new highs. So Casey is making noise. I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on there. But this is TGX, retail apparel. We know these things are going to be challenged. I'm going to get to that a little later. But this is TGX making new highs, trying to break out of that double bottom base, which I'm going to show you a ton of these, up 5% last week. Just kind of an anomaly that caught my eye in retail. And I'm going to go to some leading stocks I think can be leaders. These are stocks that are, they're above their 50 simple moving average, they're above their 200 with 25% sales growth, priced above $20, and they have volume. And of course, I go right to, there's only like 13 of them that fit that category. And of course, the gold stocks, which I just showed you, AGI and AEM, very nice. Cal Maine, a food stock, it's got the growth here and the volume, and it's above its moving averages. So just pointing this out. I'm not saying rush out there and buy these. I'm just pointing out that these ones are the ones that are above their moving averages with above 25% sales growth. CORT, there's a few medical biotech stocks in this group. This one broke out, then pulled back to its 50, but still above its 50, above its 200, with that above 25% sales growth. What other ones do we have here? NEM, this is another one of these mining stocks. Yeah. Okay, that's a nice cup-shaped pattern above its moving averages. Got the above the 25% sales growth with some volume. Just pointing it out. I'm not saying go out and buy. Then you got these anomalies. This is the water stock. I don't know what people are doing with this water. They're putting their face in it or whatever, but it's got above the 25% sales growth, above the 50, above the 200, just pointing it out. I'm not saying go out there and buy it, I'm just pointing it out. That's all. One insurance name fell in this category, Ryan. You can see above the moving averages with that 25 exactly percent sales growth. TGTX, this is one that I am holding above the 50, above the 200. I believe it's been down the last 3 weeks. And we could see when it's down 3 weeks, it's done this before. So I don't know. It's got phenomenal sales growth, and I think it's a good story for 2025. What else do we have? Oh, another drug stock. That one has 100% sales growth. This one's 67% above the 50, above the 21. Like I said, I'm not saying go out and buy these, but these are exhibiting strength, and I like strength. Couple of healthcare names that I've got to point out. Schrodinger, they settled a lawsuit. And then on Friday, it ripped up 28%. So just keep in mind that's a move not to be ignored. Dan, Syncora, COR, above the moving averages, just showing relative strength. I'm just showing his stocks with relative strength. This one doesn't have the 25% sales growth, but just pointing out strength here in this medical field. So yeah, these are just stocks showing strength. McKesson, another drug stock. Cardinal, the healthcare name's doing well. Cardinal above the 50. CVS, you wouldn't think CVS, but this one trading tight within a base. And if you go to the weekly, yeah, that one looks pretty good as it's moving higher, up 9% last week. You can't use 9%, can you? Cigna, another one, just showing strength. This looks like on the weekly, very nice cup with handle, had a little shakeout the prior week. And then United Healthcare, this is the big kahuna that's in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. You could see this one on the weekly. It's got the blue dot, 14% gain last week. Straight up from the lows of 438, now at 600. Just pointing it out, folks. I'm not saying go out there and buy them right away. All right, I promised some double bottom bases of stocks that I liked. Robinhood, I think this is a buy. I had it on my ready list last week, and you could see this, double bottom, base patterns that, I just showed you with the Nasdaq, and it's showing up in these leading stocks. Can Hood be a leading stock? I think so, absolutely. Could this be, at 39 billion? Could it be a five bagger? Absolutely. You got to give it time. If you look at the weekly chart, you can see, the volume here, which I mentioned earlier, about how, stocks wash out with volume at their lows and now they reverse higher. And if you look at the monthly, this just looks like, an IPO base here, just set up, ready to move higher. What's the high here from back in 2021 when, of course, we had the the bear market, when we had interest rates raising the fastest in history, it was an $85 stock. So that would be an area of interest here for Robinhood. And if you want to see something that looks similar, and another stock that I like, it's Dutch Bros. Another one of these IPO bases, 81.40. It rallied above it after earnings, now sold off the last couple of months, but don't give up on this one. You can see this one's got that double bottom base pattern to it as well. This is going to take time. I'm not saying they're going to, make new highs here in the next week or two, but give them some time. I think these could be a potential leading stocks. You can see this one pull back to its 200. Now we want to see it rally right back through the 50 here, and I think it will. That's Dutch Bros. Another one in this group that I like. And of course, an essential, to life now is cybersecurity. So I'm going to go through some of these cybersecurity names that look similar. This is CrowdStrike. There's your retest of the low. It undercut it there below 300, now starting to rally back. That one needs to get through its 50, get above 392.69. Actually, it'd be nice if it rallied above 400 next week. A stock that may appear on our ready list here very soon. Palantir, another one, very popular. I'm not going to use the term cult. Did I say cult type stock? It's kind of a cult. Anyway, doesn't matter. Cult stocks do well because people love them. Rejected at the 50 on Wednesday, pulled back, just flat on Friday. But if we take a look at them, the weekly, just these are appearing to be double bottoms here from their highs. And you got to give stocks, at least a couple of months to form bases. This is February 21, when it topped at 125. So we're heading towards, the middle of April. So give them some time here, folks. Let them percolate, let them breathe like a fine wine. You need to open it and allow it to breathe a little bit, right? So let them percolate, let them breathe. I'm going to go back to in the software group, but in the cybersecurity name Palo Alto. I think Palo Alto is going to be a big winner. It's the cybersecurity space is not going to go anywhere without this one. Anyway, starting to form that double bottom, and one that I like a little better that I think has the potential for more growth here at 11 billion, five bagger, take it to 55 billion. Sure, why not? Anyway, you can see pattern rec is picking this up on the double bottom base pattern. That one I like a lot, could appear on our ready list here pretty soon. Another name that I like within the group is Fortinet, well-run company. You can see the double bottom pattern here once again. Now these are, premature, as David Lindley would sing, premature to get in right now, but just watching them and, they need time. That's all they need is some time. This is a Fortinet with the blue dot here indicating relative strength. I have a more software name, Spotify, I like a lot. There's the double bottom that Pattern Rec's picking up. So these are names to watch going forward here, folks, I believe. DoorDash, another one, Pattern Rec's picking that up. At 201, I would get in before that, especially if it could take out that Wednesday high. Wednesday is the key day here. If we can rally above Wednesday, 190.44, yeah, then I think we're on to something. So just, be patient, relax, give it time. You don't have to jump in right away. Apple Oven, the big leader, the big winner from last year, climax top at 525.15. Now it's got this double bottom pattern. Could it be a winner again? Absolutely. Stocks that move like that, you don't give up on those. All right. I have to mention one last thing before I go, and that's that CROX gave a warning, an internal warning to its personnel, employees of, and they could just be, using tariffs as an excuse that their business is not doing well. And you can see the shoe group 191 out of 197, but they sent out a warning notice to employees to watch their spending. And that tells you that, business might not be so hot. Maybe, their hey dudes are not doing well. They're saturated in America, and maybe their international sales are going to be hit with this, who knows? But they did issue an internal warning, so it was down 8% last week. Something to watch there in the shoe group. Nike, obviously in the shoe group. Yeah, just flat. I would stay away from this group. They're just, I know it's washed out, but they're not showing the power. I just showed you a ton of double bottoms, and these things are just flat like pancakes. The best name in the group is ONON, and yeah, that one does have a double bottom feature, but you know what? I'm going to stay away from the shoe group. Retail is going to be tough, I believe. That's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up, except for in honor of the great Steve Jobs. We have one more thing, and that's earnings next week. We're going to hear from Goldman Sachs on Monday. A couple more banks, Bank of America on Tuesday, Citigroup on Tuesday, Johnson and Johnson on Wednesday. Man, these things are all beaten down. Albertsons, the food stocks, been doing okay, hanging in there. There you can see above the 50, not bad for Albertsons. Tuesday, we got the airlines, United Airlines, and then IBKR, Interactive Brokers. We'll see how the trading's been. I would imagine it's been pretty strong until, April 2nd, shall I say, but I don't know. We've seen a lot of volume, so I'd imagine IBKR would be pretty strong. JBHT, trucking company. Oh boy. And maybe a washout here in the trucking group. And then ASML reports on Wednesday morning. This is going to be huge for the semiconductor group, which is cyclical. Then you got Alcoa, okay, and then KMI on Wednesday. This is in the oil and gas pipeline group. Thursday, we're going to hear from TSM in the morning, United Healthcare in the morning. That one looks decent. American Express in the morning. And then, of course, Netflix will close it out the week on Thursday after the bell. And then remember, Friday's Good Friday, so the market's closed. So you got to place your bets on Netflix before Friday for their earnings report, which I think will be pretty good. Although I think the hottest show is White Lotus, and that's on Cinemax or HBO. So I don't know if Netflix has had any killer shows here in the last, couple of months. We'll have to wait and see what they have to say. I know they're getting into sports, but and they're using AI more. So I'm looking forward to hearing from Netflix. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up.